that Israel would find itself temporarily alone because the American president would temporarily abandon them. And that this president would have the opportunity to pursue massive, painful changes in the nation. Now, I didn't really know what that particularly meant, but all I can think about, now I look back on it, and the prediction was based on Obama being reelected and abandoning Israel. You know, Israel, we got your back, but not having their back. And but it ends up where, you know, it doesn't really say what's going to happen, you know, in any of these predictions, but it can't be good. There was also a prediction about world economic upheaval. Not that it would be so bad as if it would be a depression and things like that and would lead to World War III, but it would be painful for the Western nations, giving further rise to the East. Now, what do we have going on in the East? China. China's now the world's second largest economy. It'll give rise to China. And I guarantee you, if the United States doesn't get its debt under control, and we're not going to, not with Obama and in the White House and Democrats holding the Senate, it's going to get out of control. And it's going to get worse. It's simply going to get worse. And the reason is because our debt, our national debt, is going to be called in. And when we cannot pay it, it is going to force the world to seek a new global currency, which at that time, when the U.S. dollar is no longer the world reserve currency, it means we can't dictate the terms of the value of our dollar. Inflation will skyrocket. And China will be holding all the cards. I'm sorry, folks, but that's what it looks like. But anyway, I digress. I would like to say I'm wrong, but hey, for those of you who like to believe in, fortune tellers and stuff like that, yeah, they're saying I'm right. I'm looking at everything that's happening now, and they predicted it way back then, a year or two ago. So we're following that path right now. So maybe war starts December 21st or something. We'll wake up December 21st, and Israel will be at formal war with Palestine and Gaza and Hamas and everything else. And then Iran will come to the aid of Hamas, and Egypt will look at it as a reason to cross the Israel-Egyptian border in the south of Israel, and then it's on. Now the Egyptians they forget that the Israelis put a hurting on them last time they went to war. They forget that. But I think there will be the reason why Obama will abandon, because Obama doesn't care. He kind of likes the Muslim thing. I'm not saying he is Muslim, but let's face it, folks. His daddy was a Muslim. He spent a good portion of his childhood in a Muslim country. His mother was a communist, basically. His grandfather on his mother's side was a communist, and none of them like Israel. Just putting it in perspective here. Now, back to the TechCrunch Issa article piece. Far from foreshadowing the Mayan apocalypse, my seemingly strange partnership and countless others forged in the fight to keep the web open means something else. Internet users can fundamentally disrupt government. You already have, and if a conservative congressman like me can join with geeks of all political persuasions to rewrite the special interest Hollywood script, we can forge an alliance to protect an open internet, support economic freedom, and secure smarter self-governance. But Mr. Issa, that's the whole problem. They're not about self-governance. Not at all. Yeah, the left isn't. And frankly, neither are many in the Republicans. The Republican leadership, they're not really about it either. But some are kind of getting it. Some are kind of getting it. Here's something from, when I say some are kind of getting it, here's something from the Huffington Post. The huff and puff, the huff and blow. Marco Rubio on tax hikes for the rich. This is why bother. Senator Marco Rubio said earlier today, there isn't much point in raising taxes on the wealthy because they also have the money to hire people who will help them get out of paying taxes. The billionaires and millionaires that are going to be impacted by higher taxes, they can afford to hire the best lawyers, lobbyists, accountants in America to figure out how not to pay those higher rates. Rubio told the National Journal's Major Garrett at the Atlantic Washington Ideas Forum. Rubio said the people that are going to get stuck by that bill are the small businesses, the partnerships, the S corporations that cannot hire the lawyers to get them out of it. And he's absolutely right. I have said this. People saying, well, Romney didn't pay any tax. Well, Romney didn't do anything illegal, except the fact that he could afford to pay for the best lawyers and accountants, so he pays the least amount of taxes. He could look. What's paying $10,000? What's yeah, it's pretty easy to pay $10,000 for the best you can get, so you save yourself about $3 million. And when we start talking the rich. We start talking about people that have incomes and net worth above $1 million. Well, they can, $10,000 or $20,000 to them in order to save, $500,000 or more in taxes. That's an investment. Do you understand? They're going to figure out and find out legal ways, and I hate to use the term loophole, but they're going to take all the legal deductions and maybe even some of the gray area deductions that they can possibly find and take. And they're going to structure their lives, their systems, their money, their incomes in such a way as to minimize. We have all that stuff available to us, except we can't afford. Most of us can't afford to pay somebody to do that. We have to do it take the time to do it on our own. And many of us, we have job income. Let me tell you something. Having a job to be an employee. You are on the lowest possible rung for taxes by being an employee. You have very little available to you in the way of cutting back your taxes. It's the way the system was designed. Just being truthful and frank, that is exactly the way the system is. If you look at our tax code, plain and simple, it was designed not for the employee. It was designed for the business owner and the investor. Of that, there can be no denying. I mean, just plain and simple. There's no denying the fact that our tax code is built and designed around anybody other than an employee. The second lowest person on the tax code rung of the ladder is a small business owner. You're probably, what? Why do you think we keep telling you that small business owners are going to get hammered? They're the ones that are the employee. If you work for somebody else, you're going to get hammered. If you're a small business owner, an S corporation, an LLC, or something like that, you're going to get hammered because the whole tax code is geared towards the big business owner and the investor. And, for a little bit, good reason. But see, they want to attach to the investor. Well, this is not 1910. This is not 1920. Folks, you have to understand something, and this is something that many a liberal just fails to understand because of lack of education, because they're ignorant about this. If you have a Roth, if you have a 401k, if you own your own home, if you have stocks, mutual funds, you are an investor. If you have an income property, a lot of people they buy a duplex or a triplex. They live in one of the units and rent out the other units. You're an investor. That's all capital gains. You understand? Your investment income, your investment gains is called capital gains. Even if you're a small investor, those capital gain increases are going to crush you. You better think about that before you start demanding somebody pay higher taxes, because every time taxes go up, the people that get hurt the least are the so-called rich. The people who get hurt the most is the middle class, you and me. The people who benefit the most are the so-called poor who don't pay income taxes in the first place. It's just, the amount of money that is in retire, and there are many different. There are Roth IRAs and regular IRAs and SEPs and 401ks and all kinds of other different retirement plans that you can get through a job or owning your own company or on your own, and even your savings, and even if you just want to go out there and buy some stock on your own. Well, it's easy to do now because you can go online and get $5 for a trade, $4 for a trade, $10 for a trade. You can be your own stockbroker. A lot of people have taken advantage of that. Let me tell you, the day traders, remember that was pretty big. Actually, it is. You may have thinking that day trading has fallen out of favor. There are still a lot of people that are day trading. They're not rich, but all of that money that's called profit is called capital gains. They're like a small business. They're going to get crushed. And you're going to start having to pay an accountant a little bit more than you thought in order to keep your investment profits. I've known people that bought a home. They sold the home. They made a little bit of money on selling that home. And then they proceeded to get hammered with these so-called taxes for the rich. And they weren't rich. You have to understand, when they say that they want to tax the rich, and you're not a part of that so-called rich class, you better hold on to your wallet. And I still want to know, what is rich? And don't tell me $250,000, because there are many places in this country where $250,000 is not rich. If you think $250,000 is rich, why don't you try buying a house in California or New York City where they can start houses start 1,200 square feet at $1.5 million. Now tell me, $250,000 rich? I don't think so.
I always loved watching the kids play basketball.